Hi guys, welcome to Smooth's Workshop. It's Terry here and I've lost audio again and I'm going to have to dub this over, and it's a Star Wars Level 3 kit in 112 scale, the X-Wing fighter. This is build video number 12, and as soon as I lost all audio I'm going to try and dub this over. I should be getting good at all this narration. So as you've seen for the last time, we had got all the decals on this, not decals. The red and the yellow and everything, they all went on fine. They've all settled down nicely. Ready for the next stage of weathering, and the wings, they're all done. These pylon ones, the twirler ones and the pylons were a bit of fun, but I got them to settle down eventually, and the red ones have all settled down as well. So that's all the decaling done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add a little weathering effect called chipping, and we're going to use a small brush and the base colour paint, which is Tamiya XF2 flat white in this case. So I'm just going to give my paint a little stir up here. Won't need a lot of this paint. Now, because it's been airbrushed over black, you'll probably find that the craft's actually slightly grey, so it might be a little bit bright, but I'm hoping once it gets all matte coated and lacquered up and everything, it'll all be fine. So I'm just giving the pot a little stir with my paint stirrer. Really weird doing all this narration over the top. I sometimes lose audio and I don't know why it does it. This is actually a new pot of paint, so I'm giving it a bit more of a stir than you would normally because it's been sitting on the shelf for quite a while. Bring all the pigment up for the bottom. It's quite funny trying to remember what you actually said during the video clip's quite strange. So anyway, I'm going to put just a couple of small drops of paint into the well. I won't need much at all for doing this chipping. I'll just clean my paint stirrer off there and put the lid back on my paint so I don't get any spills. And move that into shot, and a little touch of Tamiya X28 in the pot next to it. Tamiya paint can be a bit fun for brush painting, so you tend to have to keep it pretty thin. So there's a brush I'm using, MIG Abteilung 502, and it's a 401. I'm just taking a little bit of thinners there, making sure my brush is clean, although I clean them at the end of every use anyway. Just taking a little bit of thinners into the paint there, just to thin it down a bit, so that I'm not going on with a thick layer of paint and just end up with big blobs of paint on my model. That's the trick with brush painting with the Tamiya, is to keep it really thin. Right, so on the model, right, the bits I'm going to try and chip are the transfers themselves. So hopefully this is coming into shot. I'm just taking the excess paint off on the back of my glove, and I'm just going to add little random chips at the edges of the red decal. Because in real life these wouldn't be decals on the X-Wing at all. Obviously this is quite a small scale, so I'm not going to go too daft with it. I'm just going to make little marks on it. So in real life it would be painted and the paint would fade where it gets touched or battle damage or whatever. So I just keep loading up my brush, taking off any excess on my glove. And I'm just putting tiny little random lines and dots and splodges at the edge of the decal. This is before the clear coat to seal the decals in, so it's hopefully going to look like it's actually down to the base coat and that the decals chipped away. The other way of doing this, of course, is you can get something like Humbrol Maskell, or even the Microscale Micro Mask, and you put little dots on, kind of like what I'm doing with the chip in here, but you would amass that up obviously for spraying, and where I'm dotting the paint on, you would do the same with the Maskell, and then you'd spray your paint on the top, and then when your paint's dry you would rub off the Maskell and it would leave this effect underneath, although it would leave you a chip with a bit of depth. I'm doing this in reverse here, where I'm chipping on top of the decal, because I didn't spray it, and it's just to give the illusion that there's a bit of battle damage and the decal's supposed to look like a painted surface. So just keep loading my brush up and doing little dots. I'm trying not to put it on too thick, because if you keep your paint thin and build it up, it looks more like a chip rather than a splodge of paint on top of your decal. As I say, I'm trying not to go too heavy with it. Hopefully you can get that in focus, just to get an idea of it just looks a bit worn and damaged. So I'm not going to bother doing the grey stripes on the side, because I'm not going for screen accuracy here, but for what I've seen, it tends to just be the red and the yellow sort of areas that are all chipped up and round about the cockpit. So that's me just doing a little bit of chipping on the yellow decal as well. There's no really an art to it. You've just got to try and be as random as you can, but try and stick to edges and things. Edges of the decals and any corners on the craft that might come into contact. So on the canopy here, it maybe looks a bit splodgy and random. Remember, the canopy glass is still masked up here. So I'm just catching edges, because obviously that hinge is open and some of it might get bashed or knocked with the pilot getting in or out and clambering. And obviously they have to lift the droid up into place to put them in the craft. So a little bit up round the top, you know, in case they've sort of accidentally missed or whatever. I'm not overly happy with how I've done the canopy, but we shall see when we take the masking off. It might not look quite so severe. It is really quite a small scale model, and I don't want to go in too heavy with all the chipping, because it'll just look kind of wrong. On a bigger scale you can kind of add a bit more. I'm just doing a wee dot here and there, trying to make it look random, but every time you try to make it look random it kind of looks uniform. It's a bit weird, but I'll give it a try, see how it looks. So that's the canopy done. The yellow one on the top, I think, is my next one. Yeah. So I'm thinking at the top we'll probably get a bit more wear than the sides. So again, it's given the illusion of, by putting the base colour on top of the decal, it's like it's faded away down to the base paint underneath. It's kind of the impression that I'm trying to give. I'm not the world's best expert at chipping or anything, but it's, yeah, giving an illusion of something that isn't actually happening. I'm just looking at how I've got on with the one that I've done. It doesn't look bad. It obviously looks matte on top of the gloss at the moment, but it's going to get another gloss coat before I do the next stage of weathering, and then I'll matte it down after that and seal in that layer of weathering. Don't know how light or how heavy I'm going to go yet. I was going to go in with an oil pin wash, but I've got to try and get this finished by tomorrow. If I do an oil pin wash on it, it might take a day or two to dry, and I won't be able to do that. So I'm thinking of using some of the Games Workshop paints, the Nuln oil, to do a bit of weathering on it. So there you go, I've chipped all the top half now, so it doesn't look like a brand new paint job on it. It's a bit weathered and battered. That's kind of the idea behind it. So again, as I say, I'm not going to do the grey bits on the side. I'll just chip up this other red decal. It's a fairly quick process. You just got to try and be random as you can. I've had a look at Ant from Bashing Kits one. He's doing a Bandai, I think it's a 1/72 scale one, and he's done a lot of research and photos on that for screen accuracy. This is just a cheap Revell kit. If I can give the impression that it's kind of like what it's supposed to be, but I'm definitely not going for screen accuracy on it, or the level of detail that Ant's done in his. I mean, mine's is a 1/12 scale, so it's quite small to start off with. And I might, if I do ever do get a Bandai one, it's a bit bigger. I might try and light that as well at a later date and go for a bit more accuracy. But this is just in my imagination how the ship looks. And as long as it pleases me, at the end of the day, when you're making your model, as long as it looks good to you, that's all that really counts. But it looks all a bit fresh just now, with all the white going on top of the decals. And you might go, oh well, that's not really weathered, it's still all nice and shiny and everything. Once I get the additional weathering on top of that, and then dull it down with a matte coat, and then eventually peel the canopy, masking off. Now, I wasn't happy with the canopy there, it looked like it was too uniform with the dots, so I'm just working on a couple of areas on there. Again, when the masking comes off, all you're really going to see is a couple of wee edges worn away, so I'm just painting over onto the masking. It's just what pleases my eye. I just didn't think it looked 100% right. Excuse me. I may have over chipped it. I might not have chipped it enough. You know, it's... How can you tell when a bit of debris is going to hit an aircraft where exactly the chip is, unless you've got a screen representation in front of you actually showing you, you know, where to paint each individual chip. So hopefully it looks kind of decent. I'm just doing a wee chipping on underneath there. Yeah, so we're nearly finished with this. Once this chipping is done, it's going to get a clear coat. The only bits I'm really going to clear coat are where the decals are, because it's already had a clear coat. I don't really need to clear coat the whole craft again, it's just to seal the decals and the chipping in. So when I apply the next layer of weathering on the top, it blends it all in, and then when I get the next layer of weather on the top, a matte coat will dull it all back down again, and then once that's on, the wings will go back in, and it'll be a bit of soldering, a wee bit of faffing about with getting the front LED in, pulling the wires down through the frame and gluing it together. So we're really almost finished. After the chip, I'm just going to do a wee bit on the red 5 on the wings, and again it's just a little bit of paint and brush, load it up, take the excess off, and just there's a wee raised bit there, so I thought that might get chipped, just an odd random chip here and there, you know, like something striking it, maybe the leading edge of the wing. Just using my imagination. I'm trying not to overdo it. Yeah, just to make it look a bit torn and bashed. And I'll do that on them all. So yeah, as I say, in the final stages, so this chipping will be the last part of actual paint that will go on the model. Then a clear coat. This paint will take maybe about 20 minutes to an hour to dry. Then I'll get a clear coat on it. Again with the aqua gloss. I'll give that. It doesn't take long to dry, and I'm not going to be going in with oils, so I'm thinking maybe 3 or 4 hours for that to dry, and I'll go in with my Nuln oil, which is another acrylic, give that an hour to dry, and then flat coat it. Wings together, wires through it. The only LED I've really got to work on, apart from connecting the wing ones up and popping them through the tube, putting the resistors on and putting them on the power supply, is I haven't actually made the LED up for inside. I've decided to go for white. I had originally done it in blue. If you've been following the build, I did a couple of test shots with the blue LED in, and it wasn't quite lighting it up. So yeah, I'm just applying a few random dots there on that wing, just to make it look like it's damaged. And it's really easy to do, just a fine brush, and just try to be random. My friends would say I'm quite good at being random, but yeah, there you go. So I hadn't anticipated when I got the kit, I thought, oh yeah, I'll try and bung LEDs in it. It would take me quite so long to get round to actually finishing it. Got distracted by other projects, but I've got back onto it, and that appears to be it. That's me finishing up there. So yeah, I'll just clean my brush up. So yeah, let that dry for an hour or so, get a clear coat on it, let that dry. Later this evening I'll get a null oil on it and take it from there. So don't know if you've done chipping before, but hopefully you found it a little bit interesting. I could have possibly made it a little bit shorter. I know I'm trying to describe something there, but just to let you see the difference with the chipping on it. Oh, my seat's creaking. So yeah, hopefully this has worked, and I've not bored you to tears. So when we come back, we should have the clear coat on it and dried, and I'll show you how I did the null oil. So I'll see you in a wee bit. Alright, bye. Hey guys, welcome back. Right, in the last clip you saw me doing a little bit of brush chipping. I probably waffled on it a bit long as usual, but yeah, here we go. So quite a few hours have elapsed. I did all the chipping that you saw me doing, and it was looking okay. So I then went and clear coated it with see if I can get here the Alclad 2 Aqua Gloss, concentrating mostly on where I put the decals in, because I hadn't sealed them in and I'd done the chipping directly on top of the decal itself, so as not to build up too many layers. So that's had overnight to dry. So we're here in the early hours of the morning here in Scotland, and we are going to do a little bit of weathering. Now normally all these little panel lines and everything, you might notice the bottom slightly darker than the top because I've been practicing. Normally I would go in with an oil pin wash, but I'm limited with time, and pin washes tend to take 24 hours to 48 hours to dry, depending on how thick your oil is to your thinner ratio. I don't have that time to play with, because this is getting entered in the ISM Summer Sci-Fi SIG. So I've basically got to get all this buttoned up today. So the only thing that I can really use for doing all my panel line washes and some of the other weathering are some acrylic. They're actually shades. And what I'm going to be using is, now these are Games Workshop shades. It's basically a matte medium with some colour suspended in it. So there's a null oil, which is a blackish colour that we'd normally paint over metallics, and one called Agrax Earth Shade, which is a more browny colour. So I'm going to be applying these in a couple of ways. I'm going to actually use them as a shade in certain areas, which will become apparent on, like say, the back of here, because of what I tint and actually colour. The difference with a shade to a pin wash is when you apply a pin wash with oils, you've got lots and lots of time to work on it, and it flows really, really easily into the seam lines, and you just clean them up. You know, you've got loads of time to clean them up with a Q-tip, or you can go in with, you know, mineral spinets or odorless thinners and clean them up. When you're working with these shades, because they're acrylic based, they dry really, really quickly. And as it's a shade, when you paint it on, it will tint the surrounding surface area, which I don't really want happening in some places, but I do want it in others. So you have to work with it really, really quickly and clean up as you go. So I've actually done the bottom of this one, just to give you a bit of an idea. This is with the null oil. Now, as you can probably see, all these panel lines have picked up now, and a little bit of shading on the torpedo tubes. They're going to get a bit more of something else later. But as you can see, compared to the top, the lines are all pretty well defined compared to the top half, but it requires a slightly different approach to doing a normal panel line or pin wash. So I'm going to be doing the top half, and I'm going to use it both as a shade as it's supposed to be used. Excuse me. Always happens when I start by doing it. I'm going to use it as a shade as it's supposed to be used, and I'm also going to use it as a panel line wash and a wee bit of a weathering effect. But
yeah, I'll show you as I go along and explain it. So I've basically got a tray of water there for cleaning my brush out, and my brush cleaner, my master's brush cleaner. I've got my paint palette here. I've got my two shades. I tend to put blue tack on the bottom because these things are easy knocked over, so just give them a wee shake up. I'm going to go in with the Agrix Air shade first. Now it's got a brownish tint. Now I'm actually going to use that as a shade because I want it to shade all of the parts, and with using a combination of the browns of the Agrix Air shade and the blacky grey of the Nuln Oil, we should get some nice wee colour contrast on the bits that I want to do with that. I won't be using this for the panel line washes. This is just for shading. So I'll give it a wee shake up. Now, as usual in my little palettes here, I shall put, let's say in the left one I'll put a wee touch of water. These are water-based acrylics, and they're true water-based acrylics. There's no alcohol in them, so there's water in there. And I'll put some X20 in the one that's further away from it. This is just to, oh well, I've got it in both. Not that'll matter. This is just to help with cleaning up the brush. Now, the tops on these are a bit of a pain. They are designed for painters, so when you pop them open, they have a little paint trough there that the paint falls into naturally. They tend to close on you. They're a bit of a pain in the bum, so I just take a crocodile clip, and you can maybe see just along the back there, I put the croc clip right across the back there. That holds the pot open, so there's no faffing about with the lid trying to get closed on you, and you can get into your stuff, and it's blue tacked or white tacked onto my paint pot. So if it does spill, hopefully it's going to spill onto my paint pot. Brush I'm going to use on this, it's just a 40 Uptiling 502 brush. I could use a bigger one for doing the actual wash, but yeah, you know. So I'm just going to separate this part because I've done the bottom. I'm quite happy with how that's came out. There's a funny little fly flying about, so sorry about that. And just to give me something to hold on to, I'm just going to clip a crocodile clip on the back of there. Okay, so hopefully this is all in focus. So this brown Agrix Air shade, I don't want it really onto all the panel lines. I just want to concentrate in this area in here. So I'm just going to get the paint in my brush, and I'll just pop it off in there. You can maybe see it's a brownie coloured wash, and I'm going to apply it as a wash on this area here. So I'm just going to, maybe got a bit much on there. Paint it all in round about here, taking off the excess as I go along. And it will flow into the recesses like a pin wash will do, but it will also tint and stain the surrounding paint as well with a slight shade, and it will be a slight shade of brown, which I actually want on this because it's a bit stark the way it is at the moment. So I'm just going along this, and you just brush it all over, and you can see it wicking in, hopefully. Wicking in all around the parts like a pin wash would do, but it's also tinting the surface with a slight browny colour. Yeah, so I'm just literally just brushing that on, and I'm not going to do any more with that apart from just brush it on and then you let it dry, because I do want it to shade and tint just to give a bit of contrast. Yeah, you can maybe already see that starting to pull out some of the features on here. And it dries really, really quickly, so I'm not going to have to be waiting. I'm not going to have to be waiting hours and hours for pin washes to dry. This will literally dry in 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And then I can go over with more washes or whatever it is that I'm wanting to do in it. So let's just see how's that looking. Hopefully this is all staying in focus. I'm just applying a little bit more. It works differently to a pin wash in the way that a pin wash will pull itself into the recesses and tend to leave the surfaces clear, whereas this will actually pull itself into the recesses and tint the surface that it's going on. I'm trying to keep it off the white, but I do want to kind of shade the grey a little bit, just to take the grey, tone the grey down a bit, and make it look a bit different. So I'll just put my brush down there. So maybe you can just pick that out. Let's see if we can get the light a bit better on it. It's really toned that down, and it's went into the recesses, but it's given it a slightly different shade of colour. So that's all I'm going to do on that. I'm going to let that dry. Now, I've done the Null Oil pin washy stuff on this, but I want to do the back of this. Again, I'm going to tint it a bit, and I'm going to use it as a shade. So even over this grey bit here, and it'll just pick up the detail. So I'm just brushing it on round about. Hopefully this is all staying in focus. And it's just a grimy kind of, because it's matte, it'll matte it out as well. So I'll do two jobs for me here. It will pick out, this is a wee bit that I was worried about that I had missed. This will hide that, and it has already. It's going to do a double job for me. It's going to do what a pin wash would do by sinking into the recesses, but it's also going to shade the grey a little bit. So I'm not quite just a stark grey. This is obviously the rear of the craft. It's going to pick up all the dust and rubbish. So I'm just working that in. Liberally, over the top. Where it pulls up, if you don't want it to pull, just dry your brush off. Go back in with your brush and take it out the bits that are maybe a bit heavy. Yeah. Use your brush as a wick. And already that's matted it down and gave it a slightly different change of colour and picked up all those recesses. So that's that. Right, now I'm playing this as he grabs a wing. I'm just winging it with this. I'm trying to think of where I'd want the brown tones and everything. I'm just having a look at the engine detail here. I'm not sure about that, but I know certainly in here I want this a bit darker than, because this is going to be in the middle of in between the V of the X. So I want it in all of it. The inside of this, I want it to be all brown, and it's not going to end up brown, but I really want this bit tinted, so that's going to tint the white. You can maybe see that starting, it actually shades the white itself. And just get this all in round about here, and I'm using it, it is like a wash, but it will shade, trying not to get it on the external parts of the wings. I'm just trying to keep it in the recess. Because to me, you know, if something's got a recess, that's where all the dirt and crap and everything's going to. So I'm just randomly painting that on there, and it is going to shade it brown. You know, and then I'm going to go over engine with it as well, just to give it. Now this has been dry brushed in gunmetal, but I'm now going to put a brownish tint over it. So this will matte out the gunmetal, but I'm not worried about that. And it'll just start picking up the detail a bit in there, right? And I'm going to leave that like that, because I'm going to come over it with another shade. So that has, as you notice, rather than just clinging in round about all the parts, it's actually shaded in that entire area, and it's made it look a bit grubby and icky, which is kind of the look I'm going for. Just make sure I've got all that. Yep, and get pressing the brush up against the edge or coming out towards the edge. just to give some griminess. But I'm not wanting all that over the top of the wings because it'll not look right. So this is going to turn this into a really long video. So I'm going to do the rest of this Agrax air shade, and I'll come back when I'm onto the back onto the Nuln Oil again, and we'll see where we go. So it looks like this actual weathering video is going to be an hour long, but sorry about that because the first section was 15 minutes. But right, I'll get this Agrax on, and then come back, show you how it's dried, and then we'll go in with the Nuln Oil and show you what I'm doing with that, because it's a slightly different technique. See you in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back. Terry here, Smooth What's Up. Right, in the last clip you saw me putting on the Citadel shades, Agrax Earth shade, which has a brownish tint. So I've went and done all that. I did all the back of this grey piece, and it's just subtly changed the tint on it, which was what I was wanting, because the most of the tint is going to be done on the Nuln Oil on this, and it's also all dried in the back there, and it's really just popped all the panel lines out on there. Again, just a little bit of definition. On the wings, I've went in roundabout. Now, if you imagine, that's on the inner side of the X. So these parts are on the inside. They're not going to be clean. They're going to be a bit grubby and dusty and all the rest of it. So originally dry brush and gunmetal, I've went over with the Agrax in there, and I just darkened it down a bit. I've also done these little panel recesses in here on both sides, and it's looking good. But we're going to be going in now with the Nuln Oil, which is a darker colour, which is generally more suited to going over metallic shades, but it's a nice dark greyish colour. Now the only thing about using this stuff is you have to, if you're doing quite a long session, you have to keep shaking them up, because all the pigment goes to the bottom quite quick. You've got to keep shaking it up into the medium. Now, as I've explained earlier, this one was done earlier, and it's picked up all the little panel lines there. So I'm going to be using it as a panel line, and I'll need loads of cotton buds or Q-tips and a ready supply of water, because it dries so quick that you don't get the time to clean it off like you do with an oil pin wash. So there's that side of it, plus I'm also going to use it to tint on top of the brown Agrax Earth shade. So yeah, just give it another good shake up. Again, pop the lid, and my wee tip for keeping them open, crocodile clip just right across the middle there. Yeah, keeps your lid open, saves any faffing about. Stick it on my paint palette. Brush is already clean, I've cleaned it over. So the first part I'm going to actually do on this, I'm going to do this one. Now, I've already showed you how to do the tint. I'm going to do the same again over the top of it, okay, and the same on the engine bays, but the one I want to concentrate on and actually get on film here is doing the panel lines. So we have a few panel lines here that I want to pick up. So I'm just going to get some of this on my brush. Okay. Now, it doesn't run quite the same as doing an oil pin wash, but I want it to catch along here. Yeah. So I'm just gently brushing it in, because of the type of medium it is, right, I've got that over the top. I'm not worried too much about that. I will sort that out. Because it's designed to tint the surrounding area, it's not really designed to flow into all the recesses. Now, I've only done that little bit on the front, but I'm now going to take my cotton bud straight away, yeah, and take off any excess, because it really does dry in that quick. So I'm going to take the first bit of the excess off with a dry Q-tip or cotton bud, yeah, and then a little dip in the water, roll it off on my mat, and just take any extra bits off. This stuff really does dry that quick, right? So that's given me a lovely crisp panel line there, but you can't leave that, you can't leave it lying like you would with an oil. You've got to go over it right away. So the line's running this way, so I want to be brushing across it so as I don't pull it all out the panel line wash, out the panel line. Yeah, so just tidying this up a little bit. I'm not worried if this gets a bit grubby in here. Cotton bud will get some of it. And the good thing is if you take too much off, you can just simply pop it back in again. Yeah. And, right, that's really heavy. But I'm just going to let that sit and stain for a little second. I want this a little bit darker. I do want this a little bit shaded. So I'm going to go in with my dry Q-tip straight away and do that. And then I'm going to rub it with a wet one. And it's kind of coming out. It will. This is where oils tend to cling a little bit. And we'll let that sit a bit longer. Yeah. But when you're doing the actual panel lines with it, you've got to be quick. You can't leave it on as long as oils. So, right, I'm just going to work through this. And let's see if we can pick up another good one for you. Right, let's get in along there. Down there. Down there. I'm just painting it over the top so it comes in. It's going to kind of shade it a bit just now. I don't want it shaded like that, but I need to get it into all the seam lines. Hopefully this is in focus. And you can see it's picking up all the seam lines and everything. Yeah, but it's also staining all the rest of it, and I don't want the rest of it stained. So dry cotton bud, take the worst of it off straight away. No messing about. Don't let it dry in. Then the wet Q-tip. I might have to do several applications of this to get it kind of how I want it. Yeah, it's going into some of them, but it's not going into others. Because it's acrylic, it dries really, really quick. So it's going to be quite a lengthy process. So I'm going to go away and do that off camera. But it's really just to show you when you're putting it into the panel line. Can we get one of the ones on the side? There's one there. Oh, too much. There's one there. There's one there. There's one there. Right. It does pick them up, but you can't leave that hanging about on there too long, or it just goes wrong quite quickly. So you will need quite a few cotton buds. So just with a dry one, across the top, take what you can off. See how that's drying already? And I'm kind of rubbing it in the line that, in the direction that the wind would go over the top of the craft. But I don't want this sitting on there staining the body. It's not the effect I'm going after on this. So then I'll just with a wet one, just very lightly, clean it up a bit. So I might have to go through several applications of this to get this just how I want it. You'll see now that that's dried a bit and I've went over that. It's given me more of the effect that I want. So yeah, I can still do panel line wash with it, but it's going to involve a lot more work than an oil pin wash where you just do everything, let it dry and then go over. Can't do that with this stuff. So I'm going to go off camera and do that, and we'll come back. See you in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm getting there. Body's done. One wing's done. Got the other wing to do. In hindsight, I could probably have used one of the clay washes from UMP, but I kind of like the fact that putting this Nuln oil on and wiping it off quick's given me. So that's just, right, the white balance is probably going to pop out a bit here, but you can maybe see where it's picked up all the panel lines, and it's totally changed the colour of the grey round about here, but really popped out with the two different shades, with the brown and the Nuln, same around the back there. So it's really kind of picked up. I've left it kind of grubby around the back, as if, because this is all like engine kind of operating areas. So that's that kind of done. Just to show you a comparison, here's the one before weathering, and here's the one with the weathering, and you can maybe see all the stuff starting to pop and come out. And I've went for kind of a grubby look on the engines. So, yeah, it's kind of really looking... Let's see if I can get this. Kind of looking really grubby and grotty near the back. Yeah, caught the pylons a wee bit. And we've got like 2 shades in there now, with the null and that, which is the inner bit. Compared to all nice and clean and nothing on. Yeah, all really grubby. And of course on these bits I've been rubbing it off in that direction, so it looks more like a streak. But it's certainly making all the panel lines and everything pop. I've kept it kind of clean on the wings, although there is a slight staining on it, and just concentrating on the panel lines, but definitely around the engines and the rear engines I've got really dirty. Compared to what that is, that's really quite clean. That was really quite dirty looking now. I'm actually starting to get a feel for it. It's quite funny if you take the body of this and set the wing and kind of pretend where it's going, you can kind of see where it's going now. So I've got one more wing to do, so I'm just having a quick coffee break. So I'll be back after I've done that. See you in a bit. Hey guys, welcome back. Hey, that's all the weathering done. Hopefully. What I've done since you were away, I've just done a little bit of dry brushing on the top there with some gunmetal, which should, hopefully, if we can get the light, just pick up a little bit of a metallic glint off it on top of the washes to make it look like there's metallic stuff there. And the same on the back end. Obviously it's going to get matted down anyway, but just to give it more of a metally look. So I did that. Also, may recall that the torpedo tubes at the front, there was a harsh black decal. All I've done is I'm taking some big pigments, black smoke, and with a brush, I've just sort of roughly outlined more than a smoky effect where the torpedo tubes are. Whether it looks alright with a matte coat on or not, I don't know. I'm giving it a try. So that's that bit. Wings, all done. They've just got to get matte coated now. So, really grubby and dirty looking. Where's my pointy stick? I've lost it. Oh, there it is. Really dirty and grubby looking, especially towards the back. And the wings, a wee bit grubbier here and there. And the recess in there. Now what I have done is I have just went over and re-dry brushed with the gunmetal in there, just to give it a little metallic sort of hint on top of that brown and the black agate shade, but it'll be in the wing so you probably won't see it. And also on the wee bits of engine detail on there, again I've just dry brushed a wee bit with the gunmetal just to try and pick some of it up, but they're all grubby and chipped and everything. So I'm hoping, and I just dry brushed a wee bit gunmetal on the ends there, I'm hoping that when it's matte coated, which will be the next coat to seal all that in, and take all the shine off it, that it's going to look kind of realistic. So that's the next stage. I'm going to matte coat it with AK Interactive Ultra Varnish in matte, and it's going to get a couple of light mist coats over, and that'll take off all the shine, and it'll marry in all the different paint effects. And then when that's done, I'll then be able to finally unmask the canopy. And then I shall get the wings assembled together, obviously when it's dry, get them assembled together and the wires through them ready for doing the wiring up. I've got the R2 droid just to do a wee coat, another wee coat of the silver on the top. You're only going to see the top of them. There's going to be decals goes on them. You're only going to see the top of them, so I'm not going to go into pin washing and that on him. If I was having him standing out separate, I maybe would. So I've got to do a better job on his chrome dome. Let that dry, get the decal on for that. But the majority of the work that I've got left, which I will do in the next video, is I'll away and matte coat this. Is unmask the canopy. Obviously, oh, hopefully that gunmetal's dry. Take out all this blue tack and everything like that. Put the other clear canopy in and get my little pilot guy in, sitting in place. And then when he's in place, I then have to work out where I'm going to put my LED, how to fix it, run the wires, link them up, everything through the tube, and that should be it done. So we're really, I'll end this video here. That's the weathering done. I just have to matte coat it to take the shine off. When the matte coat's dry and I do the unmasking, I'll come back and I'll let you see what it looks like. But that'll be in the next video. So that's that one finished for now. With all the weathering. So I hope you found it quite useful. It's certainly looking as if it's been in a few wars now. Kind of cool. If it wasn't for all the wires on it, I could actually stick it in the model to see what it looks like. But let's just see if I can, just for a bit of fun. Just for a bit of fun. Right, now, that's the top. And got a T on the other one. That's the top. So, top, excuse me. That has to go down through the bottom. That's looped up, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I've got a bit of fiddling to do to get all the wiring back how I need it. So I'll need to be careful when I'm doing all that. Because that will go in. Yeah, that's top, that's top. That's there, that's there. That needs to come all inside there. That needs to kind of go like that. And then I need to route the wires in under all the wee wing spaces, like that one needs to go under there and stuff like that. But just for a laugh, that's the wings kind of together. Yeah. So you're not going to see all this wires, but that's the what I'm looking at. And both engines are kind of different. One's more grubby than the other, but that's kind of normal. And you're not really going to see much of this inner bit of the wing anyway, but it does look kind of grubbied up. Yeah. And the two pylons and everything, and the underneath, again, it's all grubbied up and chipped and everything. If it wasn't for all the wiring, I could get that. Oh, I've just dropped a brush with black pigment everywhere. If it wasn't for all the wiring, I could show you it all in the frame. But what I can maybe do, just to give you an idea, a suggestion of, is if I put that kind of, imagine all the wires are going to be tucked away inside the body. And there's kind of my X-wing. It's really almost there, guys. It's almost there. I've just got to jam all that wiring and everything in. Yeah, so it's almost there. So that's the end of this one. I'll go off camera and I'll matte coat it. So it's just going together, routing wiring, getting it all in, putting the wiring through the tube, soldering a couple of resistors on, flicking the switch, spinning it around, all lighting up, hopefully. So until the next one, which will be the final video in the series, which it's going to be 13, number 13, the next one. But the next one will more than likely, unless you want me to run into running all the wiring and soldering and that, the next one will most likely be the Revell, I'm thinking. Because I've went into quite a lot of depth in the wiring on this already. Basically, these wires will all get fed down in through the holes that I've drilled. So all this wiring will come down underneath. That's the two positive ones. Okay. I've drilled holes through the middle so that I can feed the negative ones down through. And all we'll have at the top's a couple of wee loops, which we'll tuck under the top of the body. And then I'll cut these back and solder them inside. And the wires will get passed down the tubes. The tube that I've got down the middle of the body here. And will come out the bottom. So I'll have the wiring to come down at the bottom. Still got to spray the base in and the primer, but I'll do that after my matte coat. So there's no really any need to show it. The only thing that's not on the wires is the resistors. I think I possibly covered them before. But all I'm going to be doing, when I get it all wired up, I've got my test board here. Actually, what's the values? What's the values? Right. This was my wiring diagram for it, right? So I've got engine bank 1 and engine bank 2, and they're all wired up in parallel. Each bank is a parallel circuit. Okay. And then a separate LED for the cockpit light. So there will be 4 wires come down through the hollow tube for the stand. Now, all the positives will be linked together. Okay, so that'll be the positive from the cockpit light, the wee short ones. Yeah, they'll all go down and they'll go to the positive on the battery. And then this big long green one and the big long brown one and whatever colour one I put on the other LED will all come down to the bottom. Now, because I've got them colour coded, I know that I need to put a 150 ohm resistor on each one of the engine ones. So on the green wire and the brown wire that I've got out here, the return ones, they'll get a 150 ohm resistor on them. And the one coming from the cockpit will get a 330 ohm resistor on it, and they will get flicked onto the negative side of the battery. So that's basically my wiring diagram for it. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I don't have 2 red LEDs and that to stick in this just now, but there's a white cockpit one. Yeah, and if you can imagine on the, where it says red times 2 and red times 2, that's the engine banks. Now, I just wonder, could I just for a laugh get this in just now and show you what it's doing? Right, so that's a positive, and that's a positive. So if I can get them into the breadboard on the positive, well, there's a wee bit of paint on them, and each one of these is a negative. Right, give us a second, I'm working around the camera here. Right, so that's going to be one of the banks for the negative. Okay, imagine that's went away down the tube, and the brown one is going to be the other negative. So that's going to go into the other side of these resistor. Get in, right? So then I just need to connect these two up to the positive. Right, and will I be able to do it so you guys can see how it lights up? Let us just try, shall we? Let us just try. Because I don't, right, that brown one's come out just now, but I'll plug that back in a minute. I don't think I need to go and run through all the wiring, because that's just going to be another video. And I didn't really want to do build video series number 13. Not that I'm superstitious, but, you know. Come on, Terry. Right, let me. I've got the camera right in my face, so it's a bit fiddly diddly. This one in. Because I'm keeping the wires short, obviously, because they're going to be chopped up inside the... I really can't see what I'm doing. It's no wanting to go in. You will go in, you devil. You watch this, I'll get the wire in, and as soon as I turn it to show you, it'll pop back out again. Right, it's kind of in. They're kind of in. I need to get this one on the other side of the resistor for this one. Right, green's in. Brown's in. I think the 2 lives are in. Right, can you make that out? Right, hold on, I've got my new gimbal, so let's see if I can just... Right, so when this is all together, this is the effect we're going to get from the rear engine LEDs, and you can see them pulsing away and flashing away and all that. So, seeing I've got my wee gimbal, we can get in and round about. Oh. We shall try anyway. Yeah. So that's been the hardest bit of this. This is a really easy model kit to build. If I wasn't putting LEDs into it, we would be saying this was done. I would be gluing it together. Right, and the wee white one's the one that's going to be sitting in the cockpit. This is what it's going to light up like. So I've kind of explained it. I've ran through it all throughout the whole build. Yeah, I just have to get all the wiring all together. I've got to get a matte coat on this, all the wiring all together into the frame, and it's just working out how to light shield in that with the cockpit one, which I might have to fiddle fart about with. But that is my X-Wing engines, and if you can imagine, can I do it just to make it look kind of cool? Will it just sit there? It's kind of skew with, but it gives you an idea. There's the X-Wing flying along with the engine's going in the back. I'm really, really, really chuffed with that. Oh, I've left my gimbal all slack. So yeah, obviously the bottom half has to go on and everything. Yeah, that's, as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be the last in the build video series, and the last one will be a reveal. That's really cool. So I'm going to pull all that out of there. Sorry it's taken a while to get this build video series going. I started off at good pace and then kind of stopped. And then got going with it again and stopped. Any of these guys that know me, I don't keep very well with my health. I suffer quite bad with depression, anxiety, and sometimes your mojo just isn't there. And then you find out that you've got to get it finished for a specific time for a build. So this build actually, closing date's tomorrow, the 30th. So providing I can get my R2-D2 done, the decals on it, and all this together and working just as I've demonstrated there, it'll all be hunky-dory. So apologies, this is going to be roughly about, well, I'm just checking on here, how long is this video going to be? I've got some of it in edit already. Click, 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 click. Right, we're up to 42 minutes that I've edited already, and this is another 60 minutes, so this is an hour. But this is going to be the final one in the build video series. And then I'll do a final reveal when I've got it all together. So I hope you've enjoyed this video build series. As I say, it's a really, really easy kit if you're not trying to cram LEDs into something that's a 1:1:2 scale and then try and run all the wires and everything. So that's me finished with the video on it, which means I can just basically batter on and get this done. And then I'll take some photos and everything. So again, hope you've enjoyed the build video series. If there is anything you would like me to concentrate more on, that I didn't cover in this, like say maybe me brushing over actually soldering all the wires together, I could do a separate video on how to solder a resistor onto a wire, you know. But I'm going to call this quits. This will be finished later today. So yeah, matte varnish and wiring later this evening. So it's Terry from Smooth's Workshop, and the final part, apart from the unveiling of my Revell 112 Star Wars X-Wing. So hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying your own hobby. And as always, happy modelling. Bye.